DECIBEL Audio.
What's up, our amazing viewers from YouTube. We hope you are doing good from wherever you are watching us from. Remember, this is your favorite shop, this is your favorite YouTube channel, the Decibel Audio Kenya. We are found at the junction, or we are located at the junction of Luthuli Avenue and Kamai Road. Along Luthuli Avenue, there's a road called Kamai Road. We are there. The shop is called Decibel Audio Kenya. Give us a subscription, love our content. If you have any form of question, ask us, and we are ready to answer you in this wonderful channel concerning sound equipment, concerning a lighting system, concerning music equipment, wind instrument, band instrument, and all these other amazing sound equipment. So today, without further ado, let's introduce our video. As you can see right over here, we have wonderful sub speakers. People here call them the bass speakers. People call them the subwoofers, the low speakers, and we have so many of them. Most of these from a company called PD and a company called RCF. So we have all these speakers, and that's the reason why we want to do this today. So what do you want to do today? We have had so many questions. We have had so many people confusing the different levels or the different types of sub or low frequency. So today we want to explain how low frequencies work and why we have 10-inch. Actually, we have them from 5, even lower than 5-inch. We have 8-inch, 10-inch. We have 12-inch, 15. We have 18. We have 21 inches. So why do we have a variation of inches when it comes to sub speakers? Does the magnet size matter? Does the diaphragm size matter? Does the wattage matter? And what kind of bass are you expecting when you have different kinds of speakers? All right. So let me explain this one thing first of all. We have different types of low-end frequencies. We have the low of the low frequencies. That's the deep bass frequency. So this deep bass frequency, let me show you. I'll demonstrate from one of these equalizers that we have over here. So we said this is an equalizer. It's called 231, and we said that we are able to get different frequencies from this equalizer. Normally, the ones we're going to talk about are the low frequencies, but we have the low frequencies, mid frequencies, and then we also have the high frequencies. All right. So that is amazing. That's amazing. So let's see what we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about the low frequencies, which normally will be from anything from 20 hertz all the way to around 160 hertz. All right, so all these are likely to be sub frequencies or bass frequencies. So one thing that I want you to realize today is that when you're coming from this extreme end where we have 20 hertz, then you're coming all the way to 160 hertz, then this is the most lowest frequency that exists on this particular equalizer. All right, so if you want to experience the woofer of the woofer, the low of the low, the sub, the deepest, the ground shaking bass, you find it on this extreme end. And it said that it's not really possible to hear some of these frequencies with your ear if you are beyond a particular age, or even the extreme end at the other end. But that's a story for another day. Let's talk about this woofers. Let's talk about the low frequencies. So the more you are coming towards the mid frequencies, you're going to get a sharp bass, a hard bass, or a bass that is very, in terms of frequency, very high in terms of frequencies. All right. So let's start with what we have over here and what they offer, and I'll explain a few things to you. I'll explain the diaphragm or the diameter of the speaker. I'll explain the watts. I'll explain the clarity, and I'll explain plenty of these things. So follow me along, and you're going to get amazing information. All right. So from the extreme end, we have a sub that is called PD. It's called 2190. So this particular one is a 21 inches speaker. All right. So the diameter of this speaker is 21 inches. So the 21 inches, and normally we know most of the subs are 18 inches. So why the 21 inches? So let me explain something. The larger the diaphragm, the more space when it comes to direction, when it comes to breathing space, or when it comes to what angle the low frequencies are going to be sent. So if you have a larger diaphragm, then automatically you are going to spread your low frequencies in a wider dimension. All right, so you get a wider dimension in terms of spreading, or in terms of how much it can go, in terms of how much it's able to expand, not going to one particular perspective. All right, so that's the first factor when it comes to the size of the inches. Then remember this, you will hardly, or you will never get a 21 inches mid-range speaker. Why? Because the last video I explained as well, I said the smaller the higher the frequency. So the smaller the diaphragm or the speaker, or the diameter of the speaker, the more clarity, the more you're going towards the mid and towards your high end. So when you're coming towards the low end, that's where you get the big diaphragm. So that's where we get the 21 inches, the 15 inches, the 18 inches. So this one is automatically a low speaker just by the virtue, or just by the fact that it has a big wide diameter. So the coil itself for this particular one, let's talk about the coil. The coil is 152 millimeters. Why, or what really happens when it comes to the coil? When it comes to, you have 152, you have 125, you have 100, you have 74. Why? What really entails, or what really is the use of this big size in terms of coil? That is the amount of flexibility in terms of power that's going to produce to you. So when you have a bigger coil, it means that it have more allowance in terms of the power handling. Right? So when you have a bigger coil, it means it has a bigger space in terms of breathing, in terms of the capacity it can handle. Because remember, when you have a bigger coil, that means it's able to accommodate more heat, because automatically when you are pumping a lot of power, then the bigger the coil, the more able it is to handle the heat, the more it's able to serve you perfectly without any form of distortion in any sort of short and stuff, because you have a big coil. Another factor is that it's able to handle much or more power in terms of wattage. So most of these speakers have plenty of watts. Like this particular one is 3400 watts, a lot of power. So the only way it's able to handle that kind of power is when it has a very big coil. So these are the biggest speakers you have right over here. 152 millimeter coil, 3200 watts. And the size of the magnet, very big. Look at the breathers as well. Massive breathers from the inside, and all around we have breathers to be able to accommodate more power, or the power that the speaker has. So that is it with the low frequencies. This particular speaker you are able to get. So there's something called frequency response. So today I'm just rushing over because I have to talk about all these speakers. But today I want to talk about wattage. I want to talk about frequency response as well. So frequency response is the range from which the speaker is able to handle a frequency up to a particular range. So for this particular one, you're going to get it from somewhere, I think 31.5 or 30 or around 25.5 all the way to around 200k. You're able to get its power. But if you want to get its maximum power, you'll probably get it on this particular end. That's why we have 40, 50. You're going to get very deep, because that's a very deep bass, and it's able to handle plenty of power from that particular end. So the more you are coming towards this end in terms of hertz, the more power is required to be able to drive that. All right, so we have people called we have local users. All right, so if you want, you can combine all these speakers by themselves, because you're going to get particular frequencies which are very good but cannot be able to be off balance. All right, so if you are using 21 inches, if you're using very big coils, remember those ones are called the ground shakers. They'll not be able to go so far in terms of distance. So distance is another factor as well, but they'll be able to give you a ground shaking effect. This is why if you have windows close to you, you're going to feel them shaking. If you have any building around you, you're going to feel the vibration, because the speakers are very powerful, but they might not necessarily go very far in terms of the sharp, hard bass frequency. All right, so that's one reason why you should always combine most of these speakers if you want a set of well balanced frequencies. I think I'm done with that particular one, 21 inches. Then you come to the next one. It's an 18 inches speaker, still a company called PD. All right, so very good speaker. It's called PD. This particular one is called 1882. The model is called 1882, and it's a 125 millimeter, and it's an 18 inches. So it's still a sub frequencies. So what's happening? The coil is becoming smaller just because the wattage of the speakers are not as high as the other one. But when it comes to functionality, it's able to give you a more hard bass. All right, a more hard bass that can go further, but does not have, it can be able to give you up to some extent the low frequency that really ground shakes, but not as good as a big watt speaker. So the voice coil is 125. It's medium in terms of the hardness, the lowness, and the amount of towards the mid frequency, which really goes far in terms of distance. So you're going to get that one when we talk about frequency response from around the same age, the same frequency, around 40, 35, 40 frequency response, all the way to 200, about there, but it's going to be more effective towards the mid. So if you want to experience its real impact or its real power, then you go towards the mid frequency, not from the extreme low end, but it's still a low end speaker, very hard, very low frequencies, and it's basically that. So you need to combine a ground shaker with a hard bass as well. So if you have these two, then you have the low end, that is what we call the ground shaking bass or the subwoofer. Then you have the hard bass, and this is similar speaker, just that they have different models, but they share the same. They share the same voice coil. That's 125. They have almost the same wattage because it's around 2000 watts. And the only difference sometimes it's just the model, the cone or the cone that's used. This one is a bit rough. When the cone, not the cone, the diaphragm. If you can see right over here, this one is a bit rough. This one is a bit smooth. So the rougher or the harder the diaphragm, then probably you're going to get more resilience when it comes to shaking. When the magnet is really doing its thing, then you have a durable or you have a tough, long-lasting diaphragm. So that's called the diaphragm, all right? And we also say that there's a magnet. So the magnet is the force behind the movement of the cone. The cone is that particular thing that really holds onto the coil, all right? So the power behind it comes from the magnet. So the size of the magnet is also a factor. So we have these two coming in as low frequencies, but that has more impact when it comes to hard bass and long throw bass or sub. Then where do we go? We go there. We have another speaker right over there. It's called the RCF. It's a double magnet, and now this speaker is the same voice coil as this particular one. That is a 99.9 millimeter coil. It's an 18 inches, and the other one is a single magnet, still the same. It's called LX18X400. All right, so that's a single magnet. So what is the function of a double magnet when it comes to speakers? Why have a single magnet? Why have a double magnet? So a double magnet is an enhancement of the single magnet, because the work of the magnet is actually just to align the frequencies it's getting in terms of sound and protruding them towards a particular direction. So if you want more even, more balance, more quality in terms of direction, then when you have a double magnet, you stand a chance of more clear in terms of clarity now, because it's distributed evenly in terms of the frequency that is going to distribute. So if it's a low frequency, then it's more even, more clear because of the distributions level. All right, so that is the single magnet and the double magnet. The voice coils are 100, or we call them the 99.9. all right, so 99.9. So that one is still a low end frequency, but now you remember we are saying when it comes to watts, because those ones are 1800 watts, 2000 watts. When it comes to lower watts, you don't really need a big magnet and don't really need a big voice coil. We say the voice coil is to be able to enable the amount of power that the speaker is producing to be able to move confidently or smoothly without interference or without heating up because of the size of the coil. So you're going to get those ranges from about 40 hertz as well. You're able to get that all the way. So this, what we are calling the frequency range, all the way to about 250. That's the end of the low end frequencies, or about 200 or 250 there. You're still going to be able to hear some effects, but it's more effective towards the mid frequency rather than the low end frequency. So why do we ban speakers some of the times? It's because we are forcing the wrong frequencies into a speaker that cannot handle those frequency ranges. That's why you're going to get, you're going to heat up the coil because you are pushing a lot of power from your amplifier. This is a video for another day, but that's one of the reasons why you end up banning your speaker. So we are done with them. 18 inches. Then we have another speaker right over there. It's a PD. It's called 1550. So that one is still a mid bass. So this one automatically, because of the size 15 inches, it qualifies to be called a mid bass speaker. So this one is a 99.9 millimeter in terms of voice coil. So you realize it's a 105, 125. Amazing. So this is a 125. Alex is just correcting me. We have a 125 millimeter in terms of coil. So what does that mean? That means that the voice coil of that, if you look at the magnet, if you look at the magnet of that speaker comparing to the RCF, you realize that you have more power So the wattage will automatically be higher from the 15 inches compared to the 18 inches. So what's the difference? The difference is the 15 inches has more power, but the focus onto which the frequency is distributed is not as wide as the 18 inches. So it's concentrated to a particular point. So that means you might need plenty of the 15 inches if you want direction, if you want angles and stuff, if you're comparing that with the 18 inches. But when it comes to power, when it comes to hardness, when it comes to the coil is able to handle plenty of heat just because it has power when it comes to the wattage of the speaker. The size of the magnet again is the force that really drives the diaphragm and the coil up and down, producing more power just because it has the ability and the capacity. So that speaker is called a mid-bass speaker. Why is it called a mid-bass speaker? Because the size automatically, as we said, is 15 inches, or it's 15 inches diameter. That means it can pass as a mid-range speaker that gives you now the hard mid or the low mid. All right, so I'll come and explain maybe frequencies later, but I think I've done so many videos explaining frequencies. But that one automatically becomes a low mid speaker because you're able to get its frequencies maybe from around the response around from 50. I'll give you a framework, but maybe from 50 because of the diaphragm, maybe, or because of the power. But truly speaking, because it's 2500 watts, anything from 40 you're going to get the frequency running all the way. Now this one will surpass the low frequency because of the magnet, because of the size of the diaphragm and its orientation. You're going to get this one up to around 1.6K, but I'll confirm the clear indication from the manual. But that is just an indication that the smaller the size in terms of inches, then the more frequency you're able to manipulate, because of so many factors of, as we said, the higher you go, the smaller the cone you are going to use, so, and the clearer the effect that you are going to hear. So if you're playing a bass guitar, for instance, you need plenty of this, because when you go to the lowest string, you can experience that from your 18 inches speakers. When you go to the 15 inches, then you are able to realize plenty of these higher strings in terms of tone, and then you can also get the 10-inch, 12-inch sub speakers, which are low mid speakers. And basically that is it. I hope you have gotten something in terms of direction, in terms of power, in terms of coils, in terms of intensity. That is one thing that I just want to say, is that when you are selecting on, when you want to do clear sound, remember you need all these frequencies. You need low end frequency, which is the low of the low, the ground shaker. You need the hard bass, you need the shallow bass that you can get from some of these. That's the soft landing RCF, that's the 99, the 100 voice coils. Then you also need the low mid when it comes to the low end frequencies. So the next video that you're going to do, you're going to show you the mid speakers, their characters, their varieties, what they do, the ohms and stuff. And then from there we'll come again and do the drivers. And then remember, for you to be able to have complete sound, you need all these frequencies balanced somehow. You have the low of the lowest end going all the way to the highest end, and then you get the most beautiful, clear, balanced sound. And that is just going to be the most beautiful thing that you can ever do to your sound. So don't just focus with one type of speaker. Get different speaker depending with the voice coil, depending with the size of the diaphragm, because they give you a variety when it comes to even a difference in terms of watts. They give you difference in terms of variation, different clarities from different frequencies, because every frequency is important when it comes in its right ratio. But you can't get the ratio if you don't have the speakers. So come shop with us, Decibel Audio Kenya. We have all these things. We have classes after every. If you purchase something, we give you free like 10 minutes class, because we believe that nobody should be able to go ahead and destroy their speakers just because they are distorting wrong power, wrong information when you can't match. Actually, the next video we should do is matching your speakers with the amplifiers, or matching your amplifiers to the speakers. So come to Decibel Audio Kenya. We are located at the junction of the Utuli Avenue on Kamai Road. And as always, we say adios. We are doing this video with Alex one more time. So Alex, are you able to see yourself? So Alex has done us. There you go. So that's Alex. I have the mic. Maybe I can just give him the mic to say something. Maybe he can advise you to subscribe.
Hello guys. As always, subscribe and keep on following us so that we can bring more content. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Decibel Audio. In our next video coming, now we don't even want to say coming soon, because as you can see, we are bringing you back-to-back information, back-to-back content. Decibel Audio Kenya, give us that subscription give us that like, give us that comment, just give us some love, all right? We want to bring you the best of the best when it comes to sound, lighting, and everything, music, instruments. Cheers, bye.